Hello everybody, thank you very much for tuning in. It is appreciated. Today we're having a look at some images. Well, first off, the images I've taken of the moon using my TAL 4-inch refractor, prime focus, in other words, no eyepiece used. But rather than go into the details of astrophotography in this video, we'll just have a quick look at a section or a part of the moon. Now, many people, before buying a telescope, they'll ask me, can I see the craters on the moon? Yes, you can do. You can do with binoculars very easily. But there are also mountain ranges and valleys and other lunar features that are just as, if not more, interesting. And today, as you can see in the centre of the view, there's a mountain range. And this is the Apennines, or Apennines, however you want to pronounce it. And it's always good not to just look at them, but learn something about them, and it makes it so much more interesting, and your observing sessions will become much longer. These are actually 370 miles long, and the highest peaks are 3.71 miles high. Now, imagine the view that you would get stood next to those, and some people actually did do that. The crew of Apollo 15, which I shall come on to shortly. But just imagine the scale, 371 miles long. Imagine the UK on this map. That gives you an idea of the scale. And so that's a quick look at the Lunar Apennines, or Apennines, through my small telescope. But in the next section, let's have a look at more about the Apollo 15, the crew, and what they saw from this vantage point. In this next image, we're obviously seeing things in a lot more detail, where we can see the landing site of Apollo 15, where Scott and Irwin landed. Obviously, this is not taken with my telescope, and you can see the landing site there, right next to the mountain ranges, and you might think that that's very close, but if you were to zoom right in, they did miss them quite comfortably. But if they had landed on the top of those mountain ranges, I'm sure they would have been saying, Houston, we've got a bit of a problem here. On the left hand side, you can see 3 large craters, and given the scale of the mountain ranges, they would have been so far out of sight and over the horizon. We won't go into those craters in any detail today. We'll save that for another video. And just to the left hand side of them, almost touching the little blue star there where they landed, you can see some little like squiggly lines, but they are rills, and the rill that they visited was something called Hadley's Rill. And in this next image on the left hand side, you can actually see them next to that, where they went out in the lunar rover. And as you can see, it's not quite the small feature that first image gave you the impression of. And on the right hand image, you have the Apennines, or Apennines, in the background, not looking like a mountain range, and looking like they're very close and not that big. But it's very deceiving on the moon, because there's no atmosphere. Something 3 or 4 miles away is just as crystal clear as something in the palm of your hand. So it's very difficult for people to judge size and distance when on the moon. It wasn't all playtime. They had various missions to undertake, samples to collect, and I think it was around about 67 hours they spent on the moon. And one of the EVAs was about 6.5 hours. Just imagine the desolation. You think you're living in the middle of nowhere. Try going to the moon. And the last image does actually show the tracks that they took. And I would imagine those tracks will be there for some time to come. And the instruments that they left actually carried on collecting data for around about another 6 years. So imagine that. So I hope this will help just open your eyes a little bit and imagine yourself in that spot where these astronauts landed. the next time you look at the Apennines mountain range on the moon. So thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you next time.